Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. A key economic indicator in the United States, a proverbial canary in the coal mine, is now in major trouble. Las Vegas, Nevada, tourist mecca and one of America's greatest spectacles, is facing a visitor evaporation.
Las Vegas welcomed 400,000 fewer visitors this past June compared to the same time last year. That's an 11% drop, the first double-digit decline since 2021. And it's not just tourists. Convention traffic, a major moneymaker here, is also down. Those big conferences and expos bring in high-spending visitors.
But the visitors are staying away by double digits. And those who are coming to Sin City, by their own account, are spending less.
We've been trying to do everything we can to have fun, but do it with playing with the smallest amount of money.
According to multiple reports, hotel occupancy in Las Vegas year over year is down 15%. Revenue per room is down 28%. Gaming receipts have crashed, and service workers on the Strip, including the waitresses and bartenders, they say their income has dropped by half. And it's not just American tourists who are drying up. Canadians usually comprise the largest block of international visitors to Las Vegas. Data shows that year-over-year Canadian tourists have dropped by 55%. Analysts blame Donald Trump's trade wars and tariff tantrums. And with Canada, Trump just erupted again.
The White House slapping Canada with a 35% tariff. Goods under the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement won't be affected by this, but other sectors like lumber and the auto industry, they will feel the impact.
Look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada, but they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led, and all we want is fairness for our country.
Canada's Prime Minister responded on social media saying, in part, Canadians will be our own best customer, creating more well-paying careers at home as we strengthen and diversify our trading partnerships throughout the world.
Indeed, while Canadian tourism to the United States is way down, Canadian tourism to other countries has gone up. Donald Trump just announced tariffs on other U.S. trading partners as well.
Now, when you're looking at deals or frameworks that have been announced, we're talking about 6 countries plus the European Union that reached agreements with the United States, even though the details are still being worked out.
Those details include more clarity on foreign pledges to invest in the United States and purchase U.S. energy. However, on the flip side of the framework agreements, Donald Trump has been clear. He is imposing tariffs on several countries. The rates range from 10% to 40%, and analysts say the impact is now being felt across the U.S. economy.
When goods arrive in this country, imported goods arrive in this country, the tax or the tariff on those goods is paid by the importer, by the American company that imports those goods. That's the first so-called incidence of the tariff. Then you go down the chain. So it's importers, wholesalers, retailers, and standing at the end of that line is the American consumer. It's not a matter of when this consumer pass-through will occur. We are now seeing it. We're seeing it at the company level through lower profits, and that's corporations eating some of the tariff. But that can only go on for so long. They can only let their profit margins get squeezed for so long. They're already working through their buffers on their inventories where they front loaded to try to avoid the tariffs. We are now unequivocally seeing tariffs pass through to consumer prices. We're seeing it in furniture, toys, we're seeing it in apparel, we're seeing it in electronics, and we're just going to see more of that as time goes forward.
In the meantime, the cracks in the U.S. economy are getting more severe. Headlines: U.S. notches worst 3 months for jobs growth since pandemic. U.S. labor market adds 73,000 jobs in July, while May-June reports see larger than normal downward revisions. Quote, the latest monthly jobs report showed the U.S. labor market added fewer jobs than expected in July, while the unemployment rate moved higher, and revisions to prior months' numbers revealed significantly fewer jobs had been added than initially thought.
Businesses are basically saying to themselves, especially those exposed to the tariffs, we're going to sit on our hands in terms of investment. Business investment has taken a hit. We're going to sit on our hands in terms of hiring. I was going to build that warehouse extension, but let me see where this lands. So as long as the plane never lands, that kind of uncertainty just festers. And the problem is, and I think a lot of folks are getting this wrong, this is not over today. Anyone who thinks that we've resolved the chaotic trade war on August 1st is engaged in wishful thinking. There's lots more negotiation that's going to go on, especially when Donald Trump realizes that many of these side deals he thinks he's made with the EU and with Japan to buy hundreds of billions of dollars worth of American energy or invest, those are extremely flimsy. And the trading partners on the other side, they don't see it the same way he does. And I think when that reaches him, he's going to start renegotiating.
Even if you want to put aside trade war uncertainties and double-digit drops in U.S. tourism, another major sign of the U.S. economy is also headed in the wrong direction.
Probably the best overall measure of how the economy is doing is GDP growth, and that was trending north of 2%. Now it's around 1% for the first half of the year.
In other words, the United States is now in the midst of an economic slowdown, or Trump slump. Donald Trump's trade war, billed by Republicans as a grand economic strategy, has shattered the U.S. tourism business in Las Vegas and beyond. An economic malaise has taken hold across America, and it's been made worse by incoherent trade policies and declining consumer confidence. In the tourism industry, workers and small businesses are already paying the price with lost wages and canceled incomes. People who have built their entire livelihoods around hosting visitors from across the United States and the world are now hosting its absence. What's happening in Las Vegas is not staying in Las Vegas. Donald Trump's bombast and policy ignorance are hurting America and driving up anxieties and despair. By the way, the lone liberal on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, just blasted her conservative co-hosts over Donald Trump's tariff travesty.
And you also see headlines like Walmart raising prices up to 51%. They're doing that because they're not going to eat the tariff. They're going to pass it on to you.
And that was the lone liberal on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, ripping conservative co-host Jesse Waters.
15% thing is great because it's small enough where the importers here will eat the tariff and not pass on the price hike. But it's big enough, because that's what they're already doing, but it's big enough to make U.S. industry more competitive.
Every trade war that we are engaging in, Donald Trump brought that one up himself, except for China. China is the one that you really have an issue with, but we essentially had favored nations with the EU being about 1% import. So 15% is a lot more than 1%. And I rarely say that I wish somebody else would take my seat, at least for this segment, but I wish Charlie Gasparino was sitting here right now to explain to Jesse again how tariffs work, because it is a tax on the American consumer.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular from WM, who wrote, "I have a lot of admiration for Jessica. Tough job being the sane one in an asylum of Trump worshippers." Indeed. I look forward to reading our comments about Donald Trump choking the U.S. tourism industry and bogging down the U.S. economy. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.